So leaders, it's an opportunity again just to continue meeting, engaging, and conversing on this topic of leadership. And I trust you've been well. We are almost getting towards the tail end. The tail end is quite heavy, but so far we are doing quite well. We'll be handling lesson 10 today. And then next week, we'll be handling one of the most critical topic, the power of vision in leadership. And that tells you from today, we'll be remaining with the 6 lessons. Probably there are some of the lessons that we'll handle 2 at once, apart from next week. So we'll have not more than maybe 4 weeks remaining from today. And therefore, I think as we continue multitasking our project and the lessons, as well as the book review, it might be intense, but I think if we have come this far, then we have already built the capacity. Already we have stretched. And once we stretch, then it becomes easier because we're now able to handle whatever else that is remaining. So I will request Anne to open with a word of prayer.
Okay. Let us pray. Our Father and our God, in the name of Jesus, we approach thy throne of grace this evening with thanksgiving in our heart to worship and adore your holy name. Thank you for this far you've brought us, dear Lord. Thank you for taking care of us, O God, and even preserving our lives and our children. Lord, we pray that you may forgive our sins and have mercy on us. And as we start off this class this evening, we pray that Holy Spirit will guide us and lead us, O God. We pray that you may give us understanding of whatever we are learning, to the glory and honor of your holy name. Give you thanks and glory, for you are a good God and there is none like you. In Jesus' name we pray and believe. Amen.
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 Amen. So can we do a recap of what we covered last week? So last week we were talking about the roles of a leader. And basically, we can summarize them into 4 roles. So there were 4 roles of a leader. The first role is creating a vision. And I think in the survey, in the weekly evaluation, that was one of the areas that we were focusing in. Just try to see where are you in terms of those roles. And then that means from a personal level to an organization level, and any other perspective that you may want to look at it. So that was one of the things that we were trying to evaluate through the self-evaluation. And then we also had the second role. What was the second role? The first one is creating a vision. The next one was which one? As we refresh our memory. Someone can help us just to connect back to our session on Tuesday. Yeah. Anybody who can refresh our memory on the 4 roles, the second one, or not really in order?
I think the second one was to execute the strategy.
Yeah. So we need to, once we see, then whatever we have seen, how do we get to that, to actualize what we have seen? So we need a roadmap. We need some strategies. We need now what we call the how. The how. The vision gives us the what we are supposed to attain, or what we are supposed to, what we need to actualize. And then now the strategy gives us the how. And the strategy can change along the way because sometimes the environment changes, and therefore we have to adjust the strategy. And probably the best example is what is happening now. From the period this issue of Corona came up, I think a lot of things have happened. Some of us have had to change, like even the classes we're having today. Normally we were having them physically, but the situation changed, and therefore the strategy had to change. So I think the most important thing to note is that the vision might be static in a way, but the how to attain it, sometimes it might change depending with the environment. Yeah, so thank you, Reverend Kyoko. So we have the create a vision and then execute. We can say develop and execute the strategy. And then the third one, the last two. The last two, maybe even if you can recall one of them, is okay. And basically that is another key component when it comes to executing the vision. So we had the third one is basically now this is where we need to focus on a team, where we need to focus on a team. Yeah, so inspire trust, yeah. So we need to build a team. You need to build a team. And in that team, you need to inspire trust. Inspire trust. So a vision requires that we work together, we build a team to be able to attain it, and probably even think about progressively, think about posterity of the vision, something that is beyond even a person. So inspire trust, build a team that will have the trust level will be high, just to ensure that there is cohesion. And then the last one, we said you need now to coach potential, position the team members, position them, optimize them, empower them, coach them, and then as you coach them, you position them appropriately. So in a nutshell, that was the discussion last week. And I hope you've been able to reflect through the weekly evaluation. And also, if you had time to look at the manual, also just to be able to deepen our understanding around that discussion. So today we are going to jump into another session, and we are looking at redefining leadership. Someone said leadership is like beauty. You will know it when you see it, but sometimes it's hard to define it. I don't know for you. I know all of us here have a definition of leadership. If all of us were to define leadership, maybe we'll define it from very different angles. But all these angles will be directing us to the same thing. And I think it's just good to walk through this journey of looking at how leadership has been defined, how it has been, how different authors and different leaders have been able to argue or discuss about this topic. And at the end of the day, identify some core elements that are core or are important when it comes to issues of leadership. So this will be a journey. This will be a journey of just looking at the thoughts of different people and different authors, and then we'll be able to see. Now, let me start with this. This is just a story, an illustration. This is how traditions are born. So if you can read it through, it happened that a new camp commander was appointed in this more of a military base or sort. So while this commander was inspecting the place, he came across these two soldiers that we are seeing there, and they were guarding a bench. So he went over to them and asked them why. The key there is why they were guarding it. They said, we don't know. The last commander told us to do so, and so we did. So in a way, it's some sort of tradition, regimental tradition. So what the commander did, he searched for the last commander's phone number and called him to ask him why he had guards guarding this particular bench. And again, he said, I don't know. So the previous commander had guards, and I kept the tradition. So going back another 3 commanders, he found are now commander that was 100-year-old. This was a retired general. And he asked him the same question. Excuse me, sir, I'm now the commander of the camp that you commanded 60 years ago. I found these 2 men assigned to guard a bench. Could you please tell me more about the bench? This is what the commander said. What is the paint still wet? Is the paint still wet? What do you pick from that? This is traditions, regimental tradition. So this tradition was passed, but the initial purpose of guarding the bench, basically it was wet, and these guys continued guarding the bench years and years after it had dried up. And I think that's why it's sometimes important just to look back and try and see if there are aspects that needs to be redefined along the way. Yeah, probably there is a way that we understood about leadership. Sorry. Yeah, maybe there is a way we understood about leadership. There's a way there's a concept we knew about leadership. Maybe over the years there's a shift. Yeah, so it happens. I don't know. Maybe I can allow maybe 1 or 2 people just to make a comment on this illustration as we jump into the discussion. Sometimes we appreciate the perspectives. I don't know what the message you are getting from this story, your perspective. Maybe just one person. Just one person. Just one person. If you look at that story, what lesson can you pick in terms of, let's say in terms of general leadership, or from whatever perspective you're looking at it? Can take one, as I see the chat. Okay. Okay, so who may want to go first? We are there, leaders. Tuko.
Yeah, Tuko.
Asante, Reverend.
I think based on the story, when those soldiers were assigned to guard the bench, it was very wet. It was a wet paint. But because of the obedience to follow the leader who had commanded them to guard the bench, even the other one who came never changed anything. He wanted the system to move the same. So that maybe he was following the vision of who started it. That's my view.
Yeah, the obedience. So maybe some of them might have known it's not right and they still had to obey. I don't know. But I like that aspect of obedience. And you can remember what we started about the story of the ship that sank. Yeah, so let's listen to Anne also and just hear her perspective.
Okay. I was thinking it is also important before, maybe even if it's a tradition, to try and look into the issue at hand. Why is it being done this way? At least to have a retro history of why it is being done. You ask the why. The why we are doing, not to do bribery, because if they had asked the why, this tradition, which look of bride, would not have continued. And I'm sure they really felt bad that they have been guarding something that was not there. I think the why, yeah.
Yeah, so many years, a lot of resources have been spent, and yet they are spent on something that is obsolete, something that shouldn't be, should not have any resources going towards its maintenance. Yeah, And maybe even the issue of communication also, probably it might be another aspect. Maybe the communication channel broke somewhere along the way. I'm just trying to think aloud. Yeah. Lucy, any comment, Lucy, on this illustration?
Hello, Chairman. I've just joined in. Maybe I'll need to catch up. Thank you.
Karibu, Lucy. Yeah, so, yeah, true. And maybe as we also evaluate our own systems, maybe we can just think about your own systems. Are there some systems probably we are still spending resources, and in a way they are either obsolete or they don't really require those resources at this juncture? Or are there strategies probably we employed, we adapted a while ago, and maybe they are no longer that effective in terms of resources and also in terms of impact? So this is just to help us think through as we walk through this lesson on redefining leadership, and being comfortable that at times we might have to redefine a few things along the way, as long as they are in terms of the impact and in terms of the good of all, they meet those important criteria. So as we walk through this, we'll examine some different definition of leadership, and then we'll be able to get what are the core components, key elements. And at the end of it all, we'll come up with 11 dimensions or perspectives of leadership. So 11 perspectives of leadership. And the first perspective of leadership is that leadership is first personal, then public. So that's the first perspective of leadership. And this is what we have been saying, that it is self-leadership. Before it's public leadership, it is self-leadership. And we have talked about personal discovery, we have talked about awareness and development. So it starts from there. What do I have? How do I refine it? How do I nourish it? How does it position me into a position of influence? And through that, then I become a leader in that domain, or I become a leader because I've been able to focus on my own self-development. So there's this definition by Professor Dr. Mohammed, which we have read it a number of times, which says that leadership is a function of knowing yourself. So that is self-leadership or self-awareness, having a vision. So, and then you're able to capture a vision now. Then the vision is well communicated. You build trust among colleagues and taking effective action to realize your own leadership potential. If you can look at that definition and think about the last topic that we handled, actually this definition is more of a summary of what we talked last time. So it starts from knowing yourself, having a self-identity or or a vision, or clarifying the purpose, then being in a position to communicate, then you build trust among colleagues, and then you take effective action to realize your own leadership potential, as you also help the people that you are leading to discover and optimize their potential. This is really quite a good definition of leadership. And then Lolly Daskal said, the most effective way to lead is to lead from within. And that is a sense of purpose. The most effective way to lead is to lead from within, to develop personal leadership before you are able to get into the public leadership. Warren Menace, he's authored a number of books, like Becoming a Leader. He says, no leader sets out to be a leader. People set out to live their lives, expressing themselves fully. And when that expression is of value, they become leaders. So here, the key word here is value addition. Yeah. So the point is not to become a leader. The point is to become yourself to use yourself completely, or your skills, gifts, and energies in order to make your vision manifest. You must withhold nothing. You must, in sum, become the person you started out to be and to enjoy the process of becoming. That's a wonderful definition of leadership, especially as we focus on this issue of personal leadership. So great leaders do not set out to be leaders. They set out to live their lives. And that life becomes meaningful. It starts adding value. It starts changing lives. And when they start transforming lives around them, then they realize people are becoming attracted to them. People are starting to call them names. People are starting to make them their leader. And at the end of it all, they become the most effective leader. So it's not about setting out to be a leader, but it's about expressing ourselves fully. It's about expressing what I have fully, optimizing it fully. That is what positions one to be a leader. So that is the first perspective of leadership, that leadership is first personal, then public. The second perspective, leadership is servanthood. That natural sensation or consciousness that one is obliged to serve and to serve first. So that natural consciousness that I'm here to serve, and this is what informs a philosophy of servant leaders. For them, being a leader it's a privilege or an opportunity to be in a position to serve. So that's the second perspective. And Robert Greenleaf said the servant leader is servant first. The servant leader is servant first. So it begins with the natural feeling that one wants to serve first. Then conscious choice brings one to aspire to lead. That person is sharply different from one who is leader first. So there is a difference between someone who is a leader first compared to someone who is a servant first. Those two people will offer very different quality of leadership or styles of leadership. So servanthood is being servant first, then a leader. Yeah, and JFK says, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. Look for opportunities to be able to serve. There's another quote there, and it says, ask not what others can do for you, ask what you can do for others. That's just my own thought. It's not about looking at what others can do for you, but it's looking for opportunities of what we can be able to do for others. And that is what a servant leader does. The third dimension is leadership is a lifestyle. Leadership is a lifestyle. It's a daily business. Yeah, it's everyone's business and it's a daily business. It's not something I put off and on. It's a life I live. So leadership is not what we do. Leadership is who we are. And therefore it manifests in our lives wherever we are. There's no time I'll say this was my private function, or I was in a private place, so I was not a leader and I could do one or two. No, as we have seen probably in some of the leaders we have seen out there, they are found in some places and they say, I was in a private, that was my private time. Now, the moment we are leaders, then it means we are leaders everywhere and anytime. So it's a lifestyle. Yeah, so everyone can lead because everyone can serve, and leadership is everyone's business and is also a learnable skill. So leadership infuses a leader's lifestyle and is manifested in the actions, beliefs, values, and attitude of a leader. So basically we are saying, if the moment you pronounce yourself as a leader, or the moment I express myself as a leader, then that becomes my lifestyle. The fifth, leadership is coaching. Leadership is coaching. This is the fourth perspective, sorry. So it's being in a position to be able to position and empower others to function better and maximize impact. So leadership is coaching. A leader is a coach. A leader is like a coach. You're able to have an aerial view. You're able to see people, see what is in them, sometimes even before they can see it themselves. And through that, you're able to position the people and then empower them to be able to function better. So coaching leadership style, a leader is directly involved in the development of their own people seeking to advance their personal and professional growth. That is what coaching entails. So a coaching leader helps people build on their strength, recognize their weaknesses, and improve their skills. So a leader is basically, you're trying to scout for potential. You're trying to scout for the strength. And then when you see it in people, you help them to be able to recognize it. You help them to be able to build on it as they recognize their weaknesses and also improve their skills. So for a leader, it's all about how do we harness the strength that you already possess, and how do you manage your weaknesses so that they don't pull you down. So good leaders position themselves, great leaders position others. This is what coaches do. Ultimate leaders empower others. So great leaders do not set out to be leaders, they set out to make a difference. It's not about the role, it's always about the goal. I think that's very clear. So before you are a leader, success is all about growing yourself. When you become a leader, success is all about growing others. Just think about a coach. Yeah, you've been in the field, you played football, you have won matches, and then all of a sudden now you have to move to the position of where you are not the star, but you are making others to be stars. So you are now, this is what we are saying, before you are a leader, success is all about growing yourself, it's about shining. But when you become a leader, success is all about helping others to be able to shine, to bring out their shine. So as we let our light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. That's Nelson Mandela. Then still on coaching, we're saying leadership is a privilege to better the lives of others. This is what you have been saying from the very beginning. And leadership is about making others better as a result of your presence and making sure that impact lasts in a leader's absence. So in my absence, then the impact should still be felt. So leaders become great not because of their power, but because of their ability to empower others. That's John Maxwell. And I think that's a powerful statement. It's a powerful statement. Leadership is about making others better as a result of your presence and making sure that impact lasts in a leader's absence. So leaders become great not because of their power, but because of their ability to empower others. And I think leaders this evening, maybe these are just, in a way, they can sound like cliche, but these are powerful statements. Powerful statements that as we reflect on them more and more, as we think about them more and more, they really help us to be able to see our journey of leadership and also to make some critical decisions about our journey of leadership from here henceforth, even as we look on this aspect of coaching. So the greatest leader is not necessarily the one who does the greatest things. He's the one that gets the people to do the greatest things. That is Ronald Reagan. He was a president of the US. So leadership is unlocking people's potential to become better. And Bill Gates says, as we look ahead into the next century, leaders will be those who empower others. And leadership is about three things: to listen, to inspire, and to empower. To listen, to inspire, and to empower. And then Oswald Sanders said, leadership is the ability to recognize the special abilities and limitation of others, combined with the capacity to set each one into the job where he will do his best. That's the role of a coach. That's the role of a coach. The fifth perspective, and then after this, I'll pause a little bit just to allow us just to reflect on what I've shared. Just think through probably what is outstanding, and I'll just allow us just to freely be able to share what has come out very strong to you, something that you feel is really critical for us as leaders to think about it and probably even embrace it more. So please just prepare a point, prepare a comment that you can share after this point. Number 5, the fifth perspective, leadership is influence. We've been talking about this. Remember, we talked about the 6 eyes of a leader. So influence through inspiration, where I become an inspirational leader. And that comes through clarity on a vision. Clarity is anchored on a vision. So leadership is having a vision, sharing that vision and inspiring others to support your vision while creating their own. And that's how we inspire. So a man without a vision for his future will always return to his past. We can either be pulled by our past or we can be pulled by our future. And basically we are saying being pulled by our future, it means there is something we can visualize that is so attractive, it keeps us on our journey towards a forward move. It's not just about dwelling in the past. You find sometimes you sit close to leaders that you realize there's nothing pulling us forward. All that we are talking about, we are talking about the good days. The good days are good, but they are good to help us focus on the future. Yeah, so that's critical and very important. So effective leadership is providing the vision and motivation to a team so they work together toward the same goal, and then understanding the talents and temperaments of each individual and effectively motivating each person to contribute individually their best towards achieving the group. So basically the influence here is anchored on the clarity of a vision. Among the others, even the other eyes that we talked about, the issues of integrity, the issues of intelligence, the issues of impact, the issues of integration, all those are part and parcel when we are discussing this issue of influence. So if your action inspires others, if your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are an inspirational leader. You are a leader. That's how we become influential. So leadership is the capacity to influence others through inspiration, motivated by a passion, generated by a vision, produced by a conviction, ignited by a purpose. That's Dr. Miles Monroe. So, and you can see the journey of inspiration, the journey of influence. Influence is a journey, and it flows through some of the elements that he has mentioned here. I become inspirational because I'm so passionate, because I have a vision, because I'm convicted, I have a purpose. And that is able to bring out an aspect of a leader that is inspirational, a leader that is able to influence others. So a leader is one who sees more than others see, who sees further than others see, and who sees before others see. That leader is an inspirational and influential leader. So leaders, allow me to pause here for 5 minutes, just to help us just internalize the 5 perspectives that we have talked about. And I'll just allow us to probably share a comment in terms of what you feel is really strong for us as leaders, just to be able to reflect on based on those perspectives that we have shared. We may not really box ourselves just to the 5, but maybe even if it's an additional comment that might boost what we have discussed, please feel free to be able to share. So let me just allow maybe each one of us a minute just to be able to share your reflection on what we have discussed this far. And maybe just to maximize on time, I can just start with maybe Reverend Kioko, and then I move to James, and then Lucy. So Reverend, welcome.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, and thank you for taking us through those five leadership definitions. And I'm glad at least I've seen, like when we are talking about servanthood leadership, is what is really happening in our daily life in most cases. Like, let's say, as I am a pastor, if I want something to be well done by the followers, I should be the first person to show how it should be done. And the moment I've done it, and or maybe I begin to do it, then others will begin to follow my footsteps. And finally, they will do it, they will perfect it, and they will do it better than I intended to do. And that is a servanthood leadership. And I think that one, it's so nice, and I understand it better now.
Thank you so much, Reverend.
Most welcome.
James, your comment?
Thank you. For me, what comes out strongly today is, I think, point number one. Leadership is a personal discovery, a personal manifestation, and then simply becoming yourself. It's when you discover yourself and you live your life that you attract people to follow you for what you stand for, who you are, the values you hold. I couldn't help but imagine our good old days when your dad would sit in one of the sofas in the corner and give instructions. Wewe, leta hii, wewe, enda huku, wewe, fanya hii. And you really never saw him rise up.
Sorry, James, you are muted. James, please unmute.
Sorry about that. I got a call.
Okay, sorry.
I'm back. Yes, interrupted slowly. So ideally, I think with all due respect, that kind of taught us that kind of leadership where you sit down and order people around. But I think for me, this is a very powerful truth, because for me, honestly, on a personal level, it's been one of my challenges, because having been brought up in such an environment, then you think, yes, this is what I ought to do. This is what I have learned. This is what I know. So for me, this is very powerful. It brings out the other aspect of leadership. It's about living the good values. It's about being on the right track, being in front, and the people following you. So for me, I think that comes out very powerfully.
Thank you so much, James, for your reflection. Yeah, Lucy, you can also share your reflection, and then I'll move on to Florence.
Thank you, Chairman. My highlight tonight is on the area of selfless leadership. This reminds me of an incident some years back in our family when we had one of my nieces in need of school fees. By then, I didn't understand this concept, because we took the initiative to raise funds within the family for her to go through high school. And so that crowns up my takeaway tonight, that leadership is more about making other people's lives better and not about yourself. And it sums up the point that effective leadership is from within. That whatever you are doing as a leader, it should not be for your own benefit. And as we studied earlier in this program, it's not about maybe a pay or a check that you'll get after doing what you're doing, but leadership is giving, seeing that you have given yourself to others and you have made the lives of other people better. And so that would be my take home tonight, that moving forward as a leader, I should do what I'm doing, not for my sake. I should go out of my way and make other people's lives better. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you so much, Lucy. Yeah, be the candle and light as many candles as possible. It actually looks beautiful if you are in darkness and you see so many candles which have been lit. It looks beautiful, and that is what happens when we lead the life of others that we are leading. Thank you, Lucy, for that. Florence, and then Anne.
As for me, something that has come out strongly is that leadership is servanthood. And I have realized that is true. And I really said in my heart, I have conquered with you. Because sometimes you find yourself in the front line, whereby you don't know who else maybe would join you, you don't know who else is looking at what you are doing. But eventually you find that there are people who want to hook up with you just because you are doing what you are doing in the whole of your heart, and it's like you have passion of doing what you are doing. And as you start doing it, you find some people are, joining you up, and you are doing it together, and they are feeling they are doing what they are supposed to do. So I really said in my heart that is true. I also talked in my heart, I also thought of that one that you said, the point that you said about leadership starts with you. Yani it is within you. And I also said in my heart, this is true. Because you already find yourself, you are there, you are doing what you may think it is good within you, but you find, even people are doing it, and they like what you are doing, and they join you, and they move on, and sometimes they don't even tell you they are doing it, but you find them that doing it, even when you are not there, they are still doing it. They are going far and far, and you find that they have that passion of doing it even when you are not there. But just because you started and you didn't know that you are going to do it and you are going to go far, maybe you just started it. But when you started it, they find, it's good thing. They continue and they go a long way. So that's my take home.
Wow. I like that. You're doing something with the whole of your heart. Then you realize, wow, there's a team around you, and they have joined you. That is what we call the natural sensation, the natural consciousness. I was naturally doing what I'm supposed to do, and it became attractive. It influenced others to be able to walk with me. Thank you so much, Florence, for really reinforcing that point. It's come out very, very strong. And thank you for that. Anne?
Okay, as for me, I'm looking at it, the part you've talked about a leader being a coach. And it has come out very strongly that it's not about you, it's about you improving the life of others. So when I love watching football, so I'm looking at the coach. We only see the Ronaldo, the Messi, but the hard work has been the leader, trying to get the best out of them. So it has really come out clearly. It is about me building on the strength of others and improving their skill, and even looking at their weaknesses and making them stronger I think that has come out strongly. So it is not just leading people, inspiring them and building trust. It is making them their life better by doing the coaching part of it. Yeah. So my role is to grow others and to empower them. So I unlock that which is in them. I see people the way Jesus would see them. He look at Peter and he sees the rock in him. So it's really powerful. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you so much, Annie. Yeah, watching the football, the coach may not be playing there, but he has played a lot. And that's who we are as leaders. We may not be at the center, but we are on the side, but we are positioning them to be able to perform. And thank you so much for that. It has come out quite well. And then we'll have Ben.
For me, Mr. Chairman, what has come out clearly is about point number one, being yourself as a leader. Is not just you just understand yourself and the vision. You know what the vision you have for whatever you are doing, and the company, if you're working for a company or the people you're working, you know yourself and you know the vision that you have. And then the next one is the point number 4, empowering others. Yeah, it's not about commanding. Yeah, it's leading them, because when we work as a group, because we are being told that we can all become leaders, but unless you as a leader help your fellow workmates or your friends to unleash whatever the potential they have, then you are not worthy to be called a leader, because first you need to involve them, empower them, and empower them and acknowledge their strength. You acknowledge their strength and their potential. So they need to contribute. You need to discuss with them and then let them contribute themselves, whatever they have. So, and then you identify their strength and you identify their strength and they bring out what they have. So that is actually about a coaching, helping them rediscover themselves. It's not just about commanding and telling them what to do. That is not a leadership, but working together as a group and getting out your potential, your power. That's what I have learned today, Mr. Chairman.
Well, thank you so much, Tim. And I think that has reinforced the few points we have shared. So let's move on as we handle the remaining. And the 6th perspective of leadership is that leadership is a privilege to serve and mentor more leaders. This is more of an overseeing perspective, because it encompasses some of the other perspectives that we have talked about. And Ralph Nader said the function of leadership is to produce more leaders, not more followers. Most of you have alluded to this. And before you are a leader, as I said at the beginning, success is all about growing yourself. And then when you become a leader, success is about growing others. And therefore, I think it's a privilege. It's a privilege to be able to stand and be that coach that will be able to celebrate what we call the cheerleader. Be able to celebrate others, position others, mentor others. So it's a privilege. And I think I always like, every time I'm talking to leaders, even in other setups, maybe one-day workshops, I normally tell them it's a privilege. It's not a burden. It's not just a role, but this is an opportunity that you've been given to be able to position, to help others, position others. And the moment you look at it as a privilege, even your perspective of service changes. So this is key, and we just want to reinforce it as we continue. Then the 7th perspective, leadership is becoming your best at your craft. And Florence, you mentioned this, becoming the best at your craft, becoming your best at what you do, giving your heart to the best that you are doing. And Martin Luther King Jr., he said that if a man is called to be a street sweeper, he should sweep streets even as Michelangelo painted. We know his paintings until today. Or Beethoven composed music, or even Shakespeare wrote poetry. We know Shakespeare. You mention Shakespeare, what comes to our mind is poetry. So he should sweep streets so well that all the hosts of heaven and earth will pause to say, Here lived a great street sweeper who did his job well. And I think this has been re-echoed by Florence. Putting your heart, looking at what you have done, standing aside and looking at what you have done, and you think about it. Am I pleased by it? Am I amazed by it? Does it please to my eye and even to the eyes of those who will see it many years to come? So this is really critical, becoming the mastery, developing ourselves, growing ourselves, stretching our capacity, always trying to make sure that whatever we are doing comes in an excellent way. So if you're given a coffee cup to wash it better than it has ever been washed. That is Geoffrey William Griffin, the former director of Starehe Boys Center. If you're given a coffee cup to wash it better than it has ever been washed. Basically, we are saying becoming the best at your craft. Number 8, the 8th perspective, leadership is becoming an agent of hope. A leader is an agent of hope. Yeah, a leader is an agent of hope. We are living in times that a lot is happening around us. The levels of suicide are going high, going up. Domestic issues are becoming, domestic violence is becoming rampant. And therefore, this position of a leader becoming an agent of hope is critical. And it's something that we should champion leaders. So a leader is an agent of hope. And Napoleon said, a leader is a dealer in hope. So leaders instill in their people a hope for success and a belief in themselves. Positive leaders empower people to accomplish their goals. So a leader is a dealer of hope. And therefore, we always try to create an environment of hope. It doesn't matter how dark the situation looks like. And this does not mean we ignore reality, but as much as reality might still be there and the facts might still be there, but we'll always try to look at that slightest light that we can see and point the eyes of the people to that light, because sometimes that is what pulls us through the dark moments. Then number 9, leadership is character. I think we'll discuss about this. We have a whole topic on this. But we are saying successful leadership is not about being tough or soft, sensitive or assertive, but about a set of attributes. First and foremost is character. That's Warren Bennis. I think, James, you mentioned something to do with this. So character is a firm foundation stone upon which one must build to win respect, just as no worthy building can be erected on a weak foundation. So no lasting reputation worthy of respect can be built on a weak character. When we are talking about the phases of leadership, we talked about the character formation as being the first phase before you get to the leading, where you're cruising, and then you get to giving back, generativity. So character formation, this is a foundation. Every foundation that wants to rise up or has to go up, then it has to go down, very, very deep down, to be able to stand up. And that is what character plays when it comes to leadership. So no man can climb out beyond the limitation of his own character. No one can lead beyond the limitation of his character. In the last analysis, what we are communicates far more eloquently than anything we say or do. Stephen Covey, very, very important statement there, that in the last analysis, what we are communicates far more eloquently than anything we say or do. And what we are, that's the character. That's our character. So good character is more to be praised than outstanding talent. Most talents are to some extent a gift. Good character, by contrast, is not given to us. We have to build it piece by piece by thought, choice, courage, and determination. So I think just think about this. I may not go through all this, but I think just the few comments that we are sharing here are able to reinforce our thinking beyond this, that character is a foundation, that is able to keep us standing strong as leaders. Yeah, so the 10th perspective is that leadership is transformation. As a leader, the moment I am in a position of leadership, then I need to champion transformation. I need to bring some element of positive change. There's no way I'll become a leader and things remain static, especially where change is required, especially where improvement is required. Maybe you have been leading people for a certain period of time, and yet nothing significant has happened to the lives of those people. There has to be some form of transformation. Maybe someone was in a low-serving job, you've been able to help that person become transformed, and they've been able to rise to another position. So there's more progress. So transformational leadership, we are saying that it's the ability to move followers beyond the immediate self-interest. How do you do that? Through what we call the idealized influence, that is charisma, or you're able to influence them by purpose or even by role model. Then inspirational motivation, where you're able to inspire them to embark on a journey of bettering their lives. And then individualized consideration, where you're able to be people-driven, you're able to single out the people, have a genuine concerns for them, and also coach them, as we have mentioned. And then intellectual stimulation, where we provoke the mindset of creativity, innovation. So we challenge them to do beyond just the normal. So transformational leaders are influential, they are charismatic, they are confident, they're intelligent, they are self-driven, and they're also insightful. So leadership, we are saying, it's transformation. That is the 10th perspective, becoming a person that is able to bring positive change wherever we are. And then 11, we are saying leadership is strategy. As a leader, as I cast a vision, then I need to have a strategy. How are we going to actualize what we are seeing? So leadership is strategy, and a strategic leadership is the ability of the leader to determine the future course of action and direction of the organization and motivate others to make efforts in that direction. So strategic leadership has to come up with policies that are able to help the people to be able to walk towards the vision that has been casted. So in terms of the strategy, we are saying a strategic leader needs to provide direction, purpose, vision for the organization. Again, need to incorporate issues of strategic thinking. Yeah, strategic thinking is key. We need to incorporate issues of synergy among, and also succession planning is very important. So basically, leaders, these are the 11 perspectives or dimensions that we have discussed, the 11 perspectives or that we have tackled. So self-leadership, servanthood, lifestyle, it's coaching, it's influence, it's a privilege, mastery, becoming the best, the agent of hope, it's about character, it's about strategy, it's about transformation. Those are the 11th dimensions or perspectives of leadership. And that is why I said that sometimes it's hard just to define leadership by a single statement, because there are quite a number of things that are incorporated when you're discussing this concept of leadership. Now, some of the common elements that we can see from the definition, we are saying, one, we start from self-awareness and personal development. That's more of like where a leader needs to start. And this is where we started, if you can recall, from the very beginning. Then you're able to capture vision that is anchored, that ignites a sense of hope. Yeah. Then influence, you become influential. You inspire, you don't manipulate people. Yeah, through passionate commitment to the vision that you have been able to capture, you're able to communicate effectively, you're able to coach others so that they're able to work together with you. And then you are founded on character, and then you're able to coordinate and balance the conflicting interests of all members or stakeholders. So this is more of a journey or some of the elements, but the process we are saying always, we start from self-knowledge, self-awareness, and refinement. That connects us to a purpose, that leads to a clear vision, that makes us inspirational, that makes us inspire or influence others. So if you can see, influence now is coming to us the tail end. Most of the time we say leadership is influence, but influence comes at the tail end. Comes because someone has been able to develop self-awareness and refinement. Someone has been able to connect to a purpose, start living a life of meaning that brings meaning to others. And that person is also a visionary leader, being able to capture a vision that ignites passion. And then that person becomes inspirational and motivational. And that is how we say that leadership is influence, because that person has gone through these stages that we have mentioned here. So finally, I want to say this. This is one of the definitions we shared at the very beginning, that is all about influencing others through inspiration. But the most important here is that I need to become authentic self. There are times we struggle to become leaders, but I think the most important thing is just to be able to see, how do I become myself and serve myself better? How do I actualize what God has given me? I think that's the main area of focus, not really how do I get into a position of leadership, but is how do I serve myself better, serve what God has given me better. That is what propels one to a position of leadership. Because once we start doing that, not with the self-interest, but with the interest of others, we're able to maximize our potential, serve our purpose, and positively impact humanity and help others to be able to embark on the same journey. So I want to pause there. Because that brings us to the end of that lesson. And just look at the challenge that we have for this week. In this lesson, we have identified some common elements in the definition of leadership. I think as you reflect through, just look at the elements that we have gone through, and also look at the process. Have you been able to go through that process that we have discussed? And where are you in that process? So as you continuously improve your skills and knowledge, you experience personal growth and transformation. Look at the 11 dimensions that we have talked about, our perspectives. Just try to evaluate your own leadership by looking at them. Which one have you been playing more stronger, and which one do you feel is something that you might also want to explore more in terms of how you can be able to serve it out. So just think about that. Otherwise, I appreciate you for keeping it and for the resilience. And allow me just to be able to mention something about project proposal. But before this, maybe, is there any comment? Is there anybody with a comment that you may want to share as we close that discussion on lesson 10? I don't want to probably lock out a comment. Okay, so I think we are good. If there's a comment, still feel free to share it on the chat. We can look at it as I go through this. So the project proposal, so far we are doing well. We started quite well. I think in terms of refining the topic, if we have been able to refine them, then I think the last week discussions were quite good. And already this is something that we have tackled. We said, you look at the external, and the external, we are looking at maybe there is a challenge, maybe there is a gap, maybe there is a need, or it can even be an opportunity that needs to be leveraged. So externally, that is what we are looking for. And then internally, we are looking at probably the capacity that we have to be able to meet that need. And this is why I said you can explore All of you might come up with ideas, and then you can pick one of the idea. Maybe one of you will be the champion because it might be more related to you. Or alternatively, you can just customize something that all of you can be able to fit. So what strength? We don't want to look at something that, again, we are too far from fulfilling it. We want to look at something that we can fulfill it through passion, because it's something that is we feel that we are positioned to be able to meet. So potential, and then that is now what the solution is, now what we call the project proposal. So the 5 W's and 1 H of Kaizen will be answered. It may not be answered directly, but it will be implied. In the discussions, we should be able to see who you are targeting. We should be able to see what specifically you plan to do, like the objectives, probably where will it be undertaken, maybe the timelines, the significance, and also the strategy. So this will be implied, even if we don't mention them one by one. So as we do the write-up, some of the key issues that will come out, we'll have a background, just trying to introduce the topic, and then a problem statement. This one we discussed briefly last time. Then motivation, probably, or significance, or the importance. And then some objectives that are specific, maximum 3. And then the methodology. How are we going to undertake this proposal? And methodology here, we are looking at probably if you're going to do some survey, or you're going to, because we need to solidify whatever we are coming up with. Okay, and then the budget and action plan, and then conclusion and recommendation. So methodology, it can be, maybe you need to undertake a survey, maybe you need to do some literature review, maybe some benchmarking, case studies. Those are some of the methodology that we are talking about. So at the end of the day, what we'll have a project title, a project summary, just an introduction. We'll have a problem statement. We'll have a motivation. We'll have project goal or objectives. We'll have a methodology. Probably as we come up with a solution, we'll want to look out there, be able to look at maybe benchmarking, what did others do. Then we'll have an approach or a strategy from the methodology or from our reading. And then we'll be able to come up with probably how do we implement and monitor whatever we have been able to implement. So this will be more systematic as we move on. So we'll build it case one by one, step by step along our journey. So as we continue to unpack, I'm sure this will become more and more clearer. So we just want to listen briefly, maybe just 5 minutes per group maximum, just to listen at how the discussions you have had over the week, and any amendments that you have done to your project proposal. And then from there, we'll be able to discuss how to move forward. We can start with Ben's team. Ben and your team, maybe you can go first.
Okay, Madam Chairman, I think we are still moving with the same line we were with last week. And we had said that maybe the title for our project will be Community Care Mercy, or Care Mercy Community, such that we will reframe it properly. And under that one, because we found out that when we talk about care, it is something, as you told us, it's something very big. And we need to narrow it to do maybe a topic about it. We can choose one topic about the daily activities that these care elderly amongst us need. We agreed we say that what we are going to do is that we will deal with activities of daily living to our elderly. And what we saw is that these activities.
Could I confirm whether it's my network that is horrible or everyone is experiencing?
Essential and routine tasks that most young and healthy individuals can perform without assistance. These are some of them. There are some who can perform without assistance, but there are those and they need. And some things we saw.
Hello, Ben.
Is everybody getting me?
We seem to be losing you. Yeah. We seem to be losing you. Hello, Ben. Hello. I think.
Are you able to get me now?
Yeah, although your network
is. Are you able to get me now?
Are you able to get me now? Unstable.
Just a minute.
Yeah.
I do something here. And can you please continue as I correct this thing, please? I'll join you.
So probably, Anne, and we can think through. I wish we can be able to agree on the topic today, because that will be able now to help you have a more focused approach from this point forward. So maybe we may need to engage all of us, Anne, Florence, and Ben. Can we consolidate our thoughts and craft, because already we have an idea of what we want to do. So we need to get a topic or a title. Then from there, we'll be able to discuss other things step by step. So maybe in your discussions, I don't know if you proposed, I know you have talked about community care, mercy, something. So
yeah,
can we get maybe some more input on that?
Okay, we've done a bit of that. We've called it the mercy care. Okay, it's about caregiving to the elderly in our society, and we were discussing about the activities they are supposed to be doing a normal life, yeah, when they are not being rendered like they cannot do it for themselves. So we have been discussing about what are those activities, and then why they are not able to do them. We are trying to elaborate on what should be done, on what why are they in that position. So we had described the activities of daily living, and also the different type of the activities they are not able to do, which are the basics, like feeding themselves, dressing, those personal hygiene. Those are the things we had discussed. And so we were saying the type of daily activity, we are trying to describe them. And we are saying that the activity of daily are we classify them, and then we divide them into, like, we want to have a definite idea. What is this that they are supposed to be doing and why they are not able to do it? We are looking into that. And then our second thought was on the challenges they face in today's daily living. So those are the things we are working on.
Okay,
and then we are saying that yes.
Oh, sorry, Anne. Maybe Anne. Okay, the topic for now, we can have it as caregiving to the elderly in society. There is no,
yeah.
As long as we know exactly what we are doing, the topic even later on can be adjusted. Yeah, but again, we'll allow the plenary also to help us in case we can be able to refresh it. Now, what I want us to focus on is the specific problem. What specific problem are we trying to address?
The specific one is that, like, you find most of those elderly people, they don't have anyone to take care of them. So in feeding themselves, some are not even able to move. Their personal hygiene, those are the things we are looking at. The basics, the very, very basic that they are supposed to be doing for themselves and they are not able to do. And also we are looking at the loneliness they go through, because some you find them alone at home. And then there is also, some are sick. Are they able to take their medication if they have? So those are the things we are trying to look into. And especially the feeding, the part of, are they able to feed themselves? Are they able to get the food to eat? So and then their personal hygiene. Pardon?
So feeding is in terms of getting food. You're able to get food.
Yeah, getting the food.
And also getting the balanced diet, cooking the balanced diet of the same.
Yeah, actually, you have reminded me, we visited a certain old mzee, and the food that mzee was eating, I felt bad, because he had just a young man who was preparing the meal, and this young man, I think he just put everything together, so the food actually didn't have any taste of food. And this is someone who is sick. This is someone who needs care. This is someone who needs to eat good food. So I think that comes in strong. So I've picked the feeding. That one is in terms of provision. In terms of provision and balanced diet. I hope you can also note this. But if you already have them noted, that is okay. There is the aspect of mobility. The aspect of mobility, yeah, that one has come out very strong. And then the personal hygiene.
Personal hygiene,
I think is also very specific. And then social,
the loneliness. Sometimes you find them alone in the homes where they are living.
Yeah.
And also if they are sick, are they able to get the medicine? Are they able to take the right dose? Those are the things we are looking into. Yeah.
Okay.
And then there is the other one of.
Continue.
Okay. The ability to have appropriate, like the toilet, do they have the right, with the age, are they able to use the normal toilet? What happens to them? We're also looking at that, because we know it's a basic requirement for them. How easy is the older person to visit a washroom? How easy it is for them, because they cannot just use the ordinary. We sometimes assume they are able to. So we are also looking at that. And also, if they have the food, are they able to feed themselves? If they have the food, it's also part of what we are looking at.
Okay.
And also there was also the mobility. Are they able to move from one place to the other? What assistance do they need? And who can be doing it? We're also looking into that.
Okay.
And also the issue of the environment where they are. Maybe they can trip and fall. If they find something, are they able to move it and move from one point to another? Yeah.
Okay, so I think probably you can look at these 5 that I've picked, and maybe there are others that can be integrated into the ones that you have mentioned. The issues of food, in terms of provision and balanced diet. So food or feeding, then mobility, then personal hygiene, then loneliness, and also medication. So then these 5, look at maybe one statement that now needs to define this. Okay, so that will become our problem statement, but these are the issues that we'll be addressing.
Okay.
Is that clear?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so I hope you have captured them.
Yeah.
But
Ben, are you writing?
Yeah.
I'm writing.
Okay.
Okay.
Then from here now, the task that you have now is to craft a problem statement. And I think I shared an example of how a problem statement should be. In terms of the objectives, maybe one of the objectives could be, because in these proposals, we don't use assumptions. We don't use assumptions. Like now, okay, we have taken an assumption. These are some of the challenges that these people are experiencing. Yeah, but we might need to have an objective, and maybe that objective will be to establish the challenges. Establish the challenges that the elderly face. And if it confirms with what our assumptions are, then we are good. For example, we might find from, as we establish, because establish means we might look for some literatures, or you might even do a survey. Yeah. So you might read some few articles here and there, or you might decide, can we do a survey and ask people, what do they think are the common challenges that the elderly face? And then from there, you might create a list just to help people, so that people don't, in terms of analysis, you might create a list. And then from that list, you'll be able to see which one has been identified as a priority or one of the key challenge. Okay. So the first objective can be establish the challenges experienced by the elderly. So that can be one of the objectives. Yeah. So what can be the other objective now, thinking in that line? So after we establish the challenges, what follows?
How maybe how to solve the problems here? How can we intervene with the problems they are having? Okay, so the intervention that should be done.
Yeah, so we can talk about identify intervening strategies.
Yeah.
Intervening strategies. And maybe the last one is draw an action plan or a roadmap on implementation of the strategies. We just want to make it as precise as possible.
Okay.
So draw a roadmap. Or implementation matrix. Based on the strategies of the implementation strategies, So are we good up to there?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So
if the issue of intervention and resources, is it the same thing or they are two different things? The intervention, is it how to get the resources to help them solve the issue, or the intervention is how to solve it, and then the resources is how to get the resources to solve it, or how do you go about that one now?
So when it comes to the roadmap or implementation matrix or implementation action plan, it will have an element of resource, because we'll have the strategy, you will have the resources required, maybe you'll have the timelines, You'll have the responsible persons or entities. So it will now be captured within the implementation. But the strategies could be, maybe you need to, maybe how to source for funds can be one of them, but it depends again with the challenges that we'll be addressing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So each challenge that we have, maybe it will have a specific strategy on how to deal with it. But I'm just trying to provoke us to read more on this. Yeah, so I'm just trying to lay the foundation.
Okay.
So is that clear for Ben, Florence, and Anne? Unless there is a comment or a question.
It's okay now.
Okay. Anne, you okay?
Yeah, I am. I'm good.
Okay. Florence, I hope you're also fine.
Maybe I wanted to ask you where we can place this question of, I don't know whether it's a challenge on our side or a problem, because we were thinking on whether we need a concept from the authority or the relatives. I don't know where we can place that. I don't know whether it's a problem or what.
The authority to...
when you want to visit, maybe, or when you want to do what you want to do. Like visiting those elderly.
Yeah, maybe as you do okay, sometimes it's good to have a registered entity in a way. You know, there are times you even get the letters maybe from chief and all that. But I think that can come through as you do the action plan, and also as we do more reading, is something that we can think around. That's why sometimes we even do benchmarking. You visit others just to get to learn their lessons. How have they done it? What was the process they went through? So that can come through the benchmarking.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think it's an issue that we can deal with it later on as we continue. Okay, so let's listen to the other team. So we have Reverend Kyoko, we have James. I think Lucy was there, but probably her network had some issues. So maybe James or Reverend Kyoko, you can take us through.
I think when I chairman, I belong to the group which has already presented.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Thank you.
So James, any comment from your team?
Yes, Chairman. I've been unofficially allocated this duty of being the spokesperson. So I will take it with the strides that I'm able to. So on our side, I think we were able to refine the title a bit. With your guidance, probably we can improve on it. But what we have come up with is reclaiming. We were guided ideally by 3 principles in getting our title. And the 3 principles would be, of course, they need to have a theme. And then, of course, we would need to have a beneficiary. And then, of course, what strategy we would need to use to be able to achieve our mission. So on the theme, I think we chose to go with the word reclaiming, and then so our full title now becomes Reclaiming the Forgotten Boy Child Through Mentorship. So that ideally is our title. our new title for the project. And our objectives, let me just a minute.
So probably before we go to the objectives.
Yes.
Yeah, one, your topic is specific. So I think for the topic, we leave it as it is.
Mm.
So now the second item is the problem statement. So what problem
Yes.
are we addressing?
There are several issues affecting the boy child, and of course, relying heavily on a study by the Kenyatta University and also an article by John Eliakim dated September 18th, 2016. These two reports or these two researchers were able to establish that one, especially by the Kenyatta University, established that in most of the lecture halls around, especially the evening classes, there were more ladies attending classes than men. So of course, that begs the question, where is the boy child? And why is it that the lecture halls are full of ladies or women? Secondly, also relying on the two, we were able to see that crime rate is on the rise. Mm-hmm. And we discovered that most of the people behind bars were young men. So of course, that also begs another question, why the young men? And then our third point was the menace of drugs and substance abuse. Of course, it has reached alarming rates, according to the article by John Eliakim, that is of the Sunday Standard. And the drugs, and of course, we're also able to rely on a few documentaries done of the drugs and substance abuse, especially in Mombasa, Nairobi, and all the major towns. It's on the rise and it's reaching alarming levels, which means the boy child is being relegated to a position of just being not useful in the society. So those are our three main points on that point.
Yeah, I think James and the team, this is good, and that's a language that we really want to cultivate, where we're talking from a point of reference, from a point of information, from a point of knowledge, just the way you have brought it out, because it's about trying to align what we are thinking with probably what has been really confirmed that it is there, or the problem exists. So I take this and I think this is well done. Please move on in the same direction. So now we can move on to the objectives.
As for our objectives, we have 3 or 4 main objectives. Just a minute. Give me a minute. I think I misplaced my notes somewhere. Okay, one of our first objectives was to basically invest in godly values for the boy child so that he can become, or so they become responsible men in the society. That was our first objective. And then secondly, our second objective is to ignite the spirit of mentorship in the boy child's environment. That means as he grows up, there's constant reflection on whatever stage they are in, and the ability to be able to provide that mentorship depending on the stage that they are in. And then thirdly, to empower and to inspire a well-rounded next generation of young men. And finally, the fourth one, what we're thinking of is being able to create critical thinkers and nation builders, people who can be able to stand in the next generation as remnants, considering all the things that are happening against the boy child. We can have a remnant that is able to continue with a well-defined and a proper manhood as a skill. So those are our four main points as our objectives.
Okay, so thank you for that. So for the objectives, I'll take you back to what we have discussed with the other team. We are looking at the objectives of not even before implementing the project, but towards the implementation of the project. So
yes.
we are looking at the process. And that's why for
yes.
the other team, we said the first objective is to establish the challenges experienced by the elderly.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the thinking around the objectives. Yeah, and
Yes.
then to identify intervening strategies, because we need to come up with strategies. How do we come up with the strategies? So that's we need to probably get a methodology of how to run or how to conduct this. It can be literature review, it can be a survey, it can be interview, whatever method that is applicable. So, yeah, and then draw a roadmap or implementation action of the strategies. So I want you to think along that line, and then refine your objectives to focus along the process that you're going to undertake as we work on this project proposal. I don't know if that is clear, James.
On my end, I think, okay, what you're saying is, of course, we had our objective. So we need to draw a roadmap of how to implement that. And then as we also focus on the process of implementation.
Okay, what you have shared as objectives can be more of probably the strategies. It can come as strategies. It can come even as probably the output or the outcome. But now we are thinking like, what is guiding us in terms of investment or empowering these young people? Have we been able to establish some of these probably strategies along just the way you have been able to research on the problem statement? Yeah. So
yes.
That's why, like, we are taking this line. As we work on the project proposal, what are some of the key objectives we want to meet even before the implementation? And for the previous team, we said one of the objectives is to establish the challenges experienced, and that can come even from what you have already mentioned, the surveys that you have talked about. because already you want to confirm, indeed, these are the challenges. So we have been able to establish these are the challenges. Then what are the intervening strategies? Intervening strategies can be what we have talked about, like invest. We need to invest in this area. Maybe we need to empower them. We need to create critical thinkers. And then now the third one will be like more of a roadmap or implementation of the strategies. So how do we invest? We need maybe to have some specific activities, some specific probably responsible entities or responsible people. We need to have resources. We need to have all that. That will be more of a matrix. Yeah. So that this proposal will speak even before we can move out to be able to implement. What we want is to have a comprehensive proposal so that when we get to the implementation, now we'll be able to, it's able to speak for itself. And there will be other outcomes or other objectives that will be met now during the actual implementation. And that is now what probably will come in as part of your objectives.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, we always experience this. We always experience this in all discussions. We have had that thin line between these two. Yeah.
Okay, I think I hear you loud and clear. I hope Lucy and the colleague are able to attest to the clarity.
So maybe you can just share with them. I'll also share whatever we have discussed just to help us probably revisit and be able to have a clarity where it might not have come out clear. Otherwise, leaders, I think this is good. This is a good engagement. And as we also present this, we're able to learn from each other. We're able to look at things from different perspectives. So we are enriching whatever we are also undertaking. And I think this is the objective of this project proposal, just to continue enriching ourselves and also learning and benefiting from the interactions, what we call the collective wisdom. Maybe we can pause there for tonight. Unless maybe there is a comment, a question, clarification. For me, I think we can pause here as we engage. So next week, I'll share now probably a more broad outline. But I think the most important thing here is just to dig deeper, read as much as possible. We want to hear those references coming out when we are doing any presentations. And as you dig deeper, you realize there is quite a lot that you will be able to uncover. And it will also enrich your understanding on the topic. And that will also give you more ideas in terms of how you can undertake this project proposal. So maybe between now and next week, let's do quite intense in terms of the literature review. And also, if there is a case that you can benchmark, please take that opportunity to read that case. For the mentorship, I know there are quite a number of cases out there. Identify one case, look at it, study it, pick the lessons, pick even the strategies, and then we'll be able to expand that next week. Anne and the team also do the same. Ben, Florence, look out. There are so many cases that you can look at. Pick a case, either within the country or even outside the country. Try to look at it, study it, look at their strategies, look at probably the issues they were addressing, and then we can pick some of the lessons from that we'll be able to enrich. That will be our methodology. Unless you want to undertake a survey, I think because of the time, probably the best strategy, the best methodology will be just to do some literature review, but discuss further as a team, and then we'll be able to agree. If you undertake a survey, what we normally do, we normally target the leaders who have gone through this program, so they fill the survey on behalf of the team. Otherwise, thank you so much, leaders. I appreciate for the time that we have shared together. And I just want to say thank you. Have a blessed night. And maybe we can unmute and just close the words of grace. May the grace of Lord Jesus Christ and the love of God, the fellowship of the Holy Spirit be with us now and forevermore. Amen. Amen. So have a good night, everyone.